Hello and welcome everyone to our webinar EU PVSEC Industry Summit, the Master Plan for 100% Renewable Energy. Thank you very much for joining in. My name is Leila Shah Malakpour, and together with my colleague Dennis Schultz, we are from WIP, the organizer of EU PVSEC. Today, we want to give you a sneak peek of the upcoming EU PVSEC Industry Summit, and the central question will be around how we can provide 100% renewable energy. So before we start with the presentation, my colleague Dennis will walk you through the EU PVSEC and Industry Summit, and will share some very valuable information after that. Dr. Radovan Kopecek will share some valuable information regarding implications of a fully renewable energy world, followed by a presentation by Dr. Peter Fath on technologies and infrastructures that would enable the energy transition. Stay tuned because we will have a dedicated Q&A session for you, where in the Q&A section you'd be able to share your questions and we will ask them based on your votes. And then we will have the closing remarks and farewell. With that, again, thank you very much for your time, and I will hand over to my colleague Dennis. Dennis, over to you.
Thank you very much, Leila. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. And first, as mentioned by my colleague Leila, I would like to introduce the EU PVSEC. Most likely, most of you know what EU PVSEC is, but for those who don't know, EU PVSEC is the largest scientific congress on PV, and we cover all of aspects of PV. We have like a full week of presentations, more than 1,000 during this week, around 320 orals plus several poster presentations, parallel events. But with this, as it was not enough for us, we also created the Industry Summits, which we are running now for 4 years. No, it's already the 5th year. And in the Industry Summit, we try to connect the industry with the science, which is quite important nowadays. So this webinar will be a bit of a glimpse what we are doing, but of course the whole package you can get only during the on-site event, which will take place in Rotterdam this year. So here you can see how the Industry Summit runs, how it looks like. Those are some impressions from previous years. We have a forum where we discuss the topics during the 3 days. And we also have an exhibition running parallel to the conference. So if you're curious and would like to join us, so please feel free to scan this QR code, and then you will be directed to our exhibition page, where you can get a lot of information about the Industry Summit, exhibition, sponsorship, and so on. And if you have already your mobile phone in your hand, you will need it today. We would like you to be part of this webinar, so we will use Slido for this event. For those of you who don't know what Slido is like an interactive tool. You just scan the code, then you will be directed to a web page, and then there will be questions which you can reply. So let's try it out. And we start very, very simple. I would like to know from where are you joining us? So please scan the QR code and type in where you are located. Okay, we have Italy, Denmark, Germany. Let's run it for a bit. Yeah, I see there are more people from Germany. Great. So for most of us, it's in the afternoon. I see. Phoenix, wow, welcome. Spain, more people from Spain, great. Okay. We have a glimpse of our participants, Turkey as well. So, and now we would like to start with a session. So I'm quite happy to introduce our speakers of today. And it's Dr. Radovan Kopecek, co-founder and director of ISC Konstanz. And in the second part, there will be Professor Dr. Fath from RCT Solutions. And yesterday during a rehearsal, they told me they have a master plan. They have a master plan for 100% renewable energies. And I'm quite curious what the master plan is because I don't have it. So I'm curious to know. So Rado, the stage is yours.
Yes. Hello, Dennis. Hello, everyone. I was actually the one from Phoenix. I'm currently in US, helping the US companies to set up production lines. Yes, so let us talk today about 100% renewable energy master plan. And so if we go to the next slide, I think, yes, exactly. So the first question, and please use the Slido again. This question will be actually resolved at the end of the talk. So how much primary energy could be saved when we have in 2050 a completely electrified PV world? So try to make your guess. Now I can see 50 is winning. Let's stay a little bit more here if there are other opinions. Okay. So it's quite a good answer, I must say. We can skip the webinar. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, exactly. So I wanted to resolve it at the end of the talk, but it's 50%. That's the answer. But let us go through the slides and see how we can get there. And so basically these days I'm extremely fed up with populistic brainwashing, even in Germany, where all the energy transition started. The right-wing party is telling us these days that the energy transition is failing. And they are even saying that only Germany is doing the energy transition and everybody is laughing about us. And nuclear energy will do the magic. And even fossil fuels we are discussing, that we have to buy cheap energy from Russia again. And this makes me extremely angry because we have the solutions and we have to be much louder to promote this. 30% of the German population somehow believe this myths, but 70%, and this is already the truth, that everybody, like 70% in Germany, believe that energy transition has to be made by solar and renewables. But this 70% just simply have to be louder. Yes. So I am on LinkedIn these days, and maybe you know me from LinkedIn. I'm doing a lot of advertisement for PV and energy transition, but I'm also on TikTok, and I'm on TikTok because we need to reach the young population, the children, and there, for example, you can see here a contribution, and there, of course, music is important, and short clips, and we must promote photovoltaic everywhere. So this is my last political slide, and then let us dive in more into the technology. But what I'm feeling these days is that, here you can see a picture of ISC Konstanz walking with Friday for Future in Konstanz and protesting against the politic that we have to protect the climate change. What is happening now is that actually it's not very sexy these days to support the Fridays for Future, but the good thing is that photovoltaic is not only, let's say, saving our environment, but it is becoming the low-cost energy. So this is what we have to promote in our statements. Good. Laila, I think I can not move the slides, but exactly. So the agenda, let us look first at the status quo, where we are. Let us look at the nuclear myth, what is still promoted out there and what is the reality. And then solar-dominated future. Why solar will be dominating? What will be the supporting renewable energy mix? What will be the consequence of the 100% renewable world? And what are still the hurdles and blockades? And then coming to the conclusion. Next slide. Good. So the status quo, if we move to the next slide, we all know that at the moment, still the majority of our energy supply is just based on fossil fuel, and it's fossil fuel combustion. It's a very inefficient, it's dependent and finite, and of course it's geographically located, and there are wars because of that. And still we have high prices because if we have a crisis, then the prices for fossil fuels go up. And in the future, in the past, we were of course saying we have to go very fast to reduce our CO2 carbon emissions until 2050. We have to be carbon neutral. But let's say since 2020, 2023, we came to a status where actually photovoltaic with storage became the king of energy markets. And this was also realized by Elon Musk in 2023, and he has written a so-called Tesla Masterplan for 100% renewable energy. And some outcomes of this master plan we will present here. Of course, there are many groups that are working on this topic, but striking it is also that Elon Musk, you can like Elon Musk or not. I rather do not, because of other things that he's promoting. However, he came to the conclusion, on the contrary to Bezos, who is still promoting nuclear power, that PV and storage is the solution. And the statement is that it's technologically feasible. We have more efficient and cheaper processes. We need at the end less resources, and it's logically simpler than today's system. Good. Coming now to the nuclear myth. And this nice nuclear reactor, so-called SMR, looks nice and neat, and many people are promoting it. But the fact is that it's actually not existing. I think there are 1 or 2 prototypes, but still it will be extremely expensive. So coming to the Slido now, and I'm now talking more about the PV technology first, before coming to the myth. What do you think? Which technology will be key contributor to energy transition through PV by 2050? Will it be crystalline silicon, Will we have more tandem? There will be no answer on that because this is still under evaluation. And but I just want to see, do we here have more crystalline mafia inside, or are there researchers that are working on tandem and are convinced? Okay, so I think it's gonna be winner for crystalline silicon. Of course, we need crystalline silicon also for tandem. But yeah, so at least 1/3 of the people believe in innovations. So that's interesting to see. Thank you very much. But coming back to the nuclear myth, as you know, there's big populism out there that nuclear energy is the energy that can be produced clean, and it's the only one that exists that can work 24/7. But the illusion is actually, I mean, there are 10 arguments against nuclear technology. In Germany, the first argument that comes in our mind is that it's just not helping the net, because we need an energy that you can turn off and turn on. So nuclear in Germany just doesn't make sense. But there are many other arguments why not to do it, because we have budget overruns. It's very costly. And no investor will actually now invest into nuclear without the state that will guarantee for the risks. And even in speed, it's too slow. If you want to set up nuclear power, it will take 10 to 15 years. And until then, we just have to have the solutions for the energy supply. And of course, also geopolitical dependencies are not interesting anymore. Good. Now coming to the dominance of solar power. So these graphs we are showing quite often, and you can see actually here the graph from Fraunhofer ISE that PV with storage is becoming the lowest cost electricity, and also the graph from NICE is showing that, and it goes even further. NICE is showing that in 2027, 2030, PV with storage will dominate the energy supply, or let's say the energy costs, and will be much lower cost even than wind. And the reason is that the PV system is the PV technology is on a very fast learning curve still. So my question here will be, and this we will see also in the later slides, that there are some forecasts. What do you think will be the total installed power of PV by 2050? There are a couple of institutes that are rather more conservative, saying about 20 terawatt. And there is the Nancy Hagel approach with 80 terawatt. Okay, so very good guesses between 80 and 100 terawatts. That means translated about 60 to 70% of really primary energy, directly or indirectly, will be produced by solar. So the solar-dominated future, as I already told you, since 2020, even the PERC technology became the king of energy markets. And now we still are improving in efficiency, improving cost down. Bifacial is also one of these technologies that are driving down the costs. So the benchmark until 2050, 100 terawatt, which means about 60 to 80% of total global primary energy. And now, as I told you a couple of years ago, the batteries costs were down. So with cheap battery storage, PV can deliver low-cost electricity 24/7. And why solar is outpacing everything is because, of course, we have the infinite source. The sun is providing much more energy than we needed. One of the most important things is also that we have decentralized power. But of course, we have to build up our grid in Germany. This is a little bit slowed down, unfortunately, because there is much lobby for gas. And as I told you, an important thing is that PV is still on a very fast learning curve. At the moment, we have module efficiencies of 23%. And if we go only with crystalline silicon technology to the limit, we can still reach efficiencies, module efficiencies of 27%. That means we still have 5 to 7 years for the efficiency improvement. Yes, and Dennis already told it. I mean, we are not at the end of the story. We still have to innovate. We still have to build production locally outside of China to be not dependent on one country. And one important thing is also quality and bankability, because the responsibility when we build up energy system, which is mostly built on solar, the quality must be good. And at the moment, in many systems, there are, let's say, low quality TOPCon modules we can see from evaluations. So the quality has to improve. And then we have identified for our industry summit that will run in September with Dennis and Laila 3 important topics, which is local resilient manufacturing, or let's say cooperation of manufacturing with different countries as well, like India and US, quality and bankability, because if we introduce new technologies, then also they have to be bankable. And AI and grid integration is also an important topic, how to get more electricity into the grid. So of course, solar will not do the entire magic. We need supporting energy mix. And in this graph, you can see very early questioning also started to make some predictions that solar and wind are a good solution because they are complementary. So to solar, matching energy source is of course wind, because it has complementary generation. Then we can have wind onshore and offshore, of course, but that's also not enough, because then we have to have some reliable 24/7 electricity generation, and this can be done by hydroelectric plant or thermal plants, which are running also 24/7 for permanent and safety supply in the net. And then, of course, a crucial role will have batteries. So the batteries for storage, we need them. They are at the moment getting lower and lower cost. So they are also on a very fast learning curve. But let's say the last puzzle piece, for example, for Germany, definitely is also hydrogen generation, because then we need it for the seasonal chemical storage. And but let's say what we can state that actually we can live with overcapacity of solar panels and wind, and store everything with batteries in the systems. And at the end, when we don't have any other possibilities, for example, also for transport and for heating in winter, then hydrogen can be used as a supplementary source. Of course, there are still some development has to be done to make hydrogen production more efficient, but we are on a right way. So the consequences, if we electrify our entire planet, and this is a very popular graph that is been seeing in the media very often, is if you look at the ship transportation, and if you look at the red ships, these are all ships that are transporting oil and gas. So a lot of energy is also wasted during transportation of energy back and forth. And this will be almost completely washed out of the system, because this is so-called hidden economy in the economy itself, that where you need a lot of energy contribution for transportation. Of course, in some cases, you still need to transport modules, but our idea is also that modules have to be produced locally. So another question, which relies a little bit also on the first question, when do you think, by when can we do the magic? By when can we electrify the world? Okay, 2050, this is, let's say, a set goal that we will go there. Some people say even it can happen earlier. Okay, a little bit. Okay, so this is what all the statistics, or let's say all the scenarios are suggesting. Exactly. So most of them are saying between 2040 and 2015. 50. So what will be the consequences? And here on this slide, you can see the graph of the question that we had at the beginning. So 50% of the primary energy can be saved when we electrify our energy supply. And this is basically only based on thermodynamic combustion losses, but not only, also on the transportation that we are still relying on. So of course, there are examples that are now coming into the market. If we change from combustion engine to electric vehicles, we will save electricity. Heat pumps in Germany are a big topic for energy saving. And as I told you, also eliminating the fossil value chain. So the hidden industry, if we eliminate the transportation of the fossil fuels going back and forth, so roughly 10% of shipping, rail, and truck cargo will be eliminated. So the result is actually then that reduced maritime traffic, no pipeline footprints, and zero energy will be wasted during transportations. So here we can see the growth of PV and the scenarios that I've been talking about. There are some scenarios that are quite conservative and quite fast scenarios. For example, the most popular these days from the Terawatt workshop from Nancy Hagel, that is saying until 2050, we will have an installed PV capacity of 70 to 80 terawatt. But if we look at our exponential curve that we have now since 40 years, it can work even faster. And of course, there are some restrictions. For example, when we install too much PV, then we have some grid overloads. But with storage, we can also save many of these, solve many of these problems. So, to my understanding, when I read scenarios from different contributors, I even believe it can go faster. So technically, we can definitely go faster. What is still blocking and what are the hurdles are still some infrastructure bottlenecks that we spoke about, but it's also outdated bureaucracy. So bureaucracy is hindering to go faster. Of course, the electrical grids must be optimized, and maybe also the resources must be scaled up. But what is definitely missing in many countries is the political will and also the influence of the fossil lobby. And this is what we have to tackle and be more, let's say, louder, or let's combine forces to make more lobby for the renewable energy world. So the conclusions, I think I'm run on of the time. So the verdict, compared to the fossil fuel dominated global economy, 100% renewable and almost completely electrified economy is, of course, more efficient and resource saving. And at the beginning, we will need more resources to build it up. But when the system is running, then we will need almost no resources because also of the circular economy. And the gains, it's clear, it's geopolitical independence, permanent energy price stability, because we will produce locally, and reduced harmful emissions. And what we should do in future is somehow to break the political influence of fossil interests. So let's transform all together. Thank you very much.
So Rado, now I have to continue.
So Peter, show us.
Rado, I mean, you make me mad. You put the ball so high, because I'm known to a guy who makes factories, battery factories, solar factories, whatever, with my colleagues. And I'm also active at the German machine making sector. So my God, Rado, I'm sweating. So many terawatts and gigawatts have to be deployed. So let us have a look how this can work.
And Peter, do you think it will be produced only in China, or can we do it somewhere else, like to create some more producing hubs? I mean, I am now in US. The production there is growing, but of course they have some challenges in India. So they want to challenge China, but you think it will be possible that we will have more producing countries that can also export to Europe, because in Europe we need modules, and we cannot rely only on modules from China. So do you think we can get also modules from India soon?
I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, this is a huge transformation globally. I mean, we have all these sectors have to be transformed, and it's in a sensitive area of energy supply. And even industry will be transformed, mobility will be transformed, everything will be data security, all this one, and it comes with electrical energy. And whomever in this meeting believes that only one country can supply those volumes, perhaps even this country could supply those volumes, then it's not healthy. It's totally unhealthy. And you have shown beautiful pictures on these logistics chains around Africa. I mean, how to transport this huge amount of inverters, batteries, modules, cables, only from one country into the rest of the world. So I'm totally convinced that the world will have manufacturing hubs. And one, of course, rising star is India. But it will not only be Southeast Asia, China and India, it will be also Europe, rather, it will be America, it will be Africa, it will be South America, at least of some steps of the value chain, wherever it's feasible. Why not to make silicon in Brazil? So I'm a guy who is a strong believer of localization, at least of some steps of the value chain. That has to come, definitely.
Okay, so Peter, I am happy that you mentioned Europe as well. We have been fighting for a long time, so maybe there will be also a possibility in future. So please show us what will happen.
So let us start. So now next slide, please. Where to go? That's the question. And Rado says 100% renewable energy, 100% clean energy, CO2 neutral. That's the target. So next slide, please. I mean, this slide Rado has shown, as I mentioned to you, I mean, we are now currently doing this huge transformation. And Rado has explained we should go on 100% renewable. But I want to just explain you what does it mean? Because it's not only the electrical supply system, its mobility has to be electrified. Industry has to electrify. We need green molecules. Now all these AI and data center guys are suddenly coming, and they also need a bunch and hell of energy. So it's not like we are saying, okay, let us make our electrical system CO2 neutral and renewable, because now a lot of other off-takers, energy consumers are coming, and that's a hell of work. Next slide, please. So if you look at these slides, you can see at the lower left side, that is from Solar Power Europe, you see market prediction. And Rado has already mentioned the target. It might be 80 terawatt, it might be 100 terawatt, or it might be 70 terawatt. That's not of a relevance. If you look at the annual deployments, then we are talking about annual deployments, which will quickly exceed 1 terawatt. In a few years, we will have to deploy 1 terawatt of solar into our energy supplying system. And then, of course, the question comes, and you can see on the left upper slide, which technology will be used. And I have to say, perhaps I sound a little bit stupid, I'm technology agnostic. Whomever can provide and do this upscaling at the best and the quickest at a good quality and cost should win. If it's heterojunction or TOPCon or IBC, I don't care. I feel more that we will have different technologies for different applications and customer requirement. We will have high-end product for houses which have limited space, heat pump, electrical car, electrical supply system have to be fed from the house roof. So we need higher power system, but utility scale might still continue on a lower end technology. So let us not fight technology. The best technology for our clients and deploying agency will be used. So here you can see the upscaling in a split of technology. So what we are believing is, let us say in the year 2030, 2035, TOPCon technology will be there and dominating. Then there's a rising star, which is called back contact technology, which is catching up market share. There are some advantages. We see some high efficiency and some better thermal behavior. And then, of course, we have tandem technology, which also gets some market share as well. Next slide, please. Based on this projection, we have to look who will manufacture it. And here you see on the left side, the manufacturing projection by region. And you see suddenly the red color is normally always China. So you see there are other colors coming. And this is exactly what I believe. So according to market analysts, they're predicting that in the year 2035, about 40% of the global capacity will not be located anymore in China. If this will happen or not, I feel it will happen. Because there's a huge sensitivity, global sensitivity, who is providing this important good of energy, electricity, providing on producing goods. Now, if you look at the CapEx spending, of course, that's a challenge, especially when you look to Western countries. We are super good in deploying solar, but we are not super good in manufacturing these beautiful solar products. So if you look at the CapEx spending by region, you see the difference. Rado is now traveling in Phoenix in USA. You can see typically a capacity in USA might cost double or triple as compared to China and the rest of the world. And that's something which we have to better work out and understand. If you see on the right-hand side, now we are looking at the total equipment spending, 2025 compared to 2035 for different regions. And we can see a lot of spending, apart from China, of course, will happen in India. So I have foreseen that India will soon have fully integrated value chain, including glass, including frame, foil, everything at the 100 gigawatt scale that I'm predicting, even if luckily a little bit more. And half of it will go to the domestic market, half will be used for export. I would predict mostly for Europe. So that's, you can see on this slide, so big investments in $7.5 billion investments will be done in India up to the year 2035. Europe, something will come. You can see on this graph, we are not totally pessimistic. The Industrial Accelerator Act hopefully plays into the books, at least of cell and module manufacturers, European-based ones. So I'm confident Europe also will have a certain capacity allocation. Next slide, please. Then now, how this transfers into equipment business, because I mean all this transformation, and Rado gave us a huge homework that needs, of course, expenditure, that needs capex, that needs bulky investment, and you know, for this beautiful journey of a 100% transformation, we are talking just on equipment spending. Let us say in the year 2035, we are talking about annual capex of about 45 billion euro we have to invest in equipment to reach those market numbers and deployment numbers of products which we have seen in the previous slides. And we have done this study. It was Fraunhofer, ISC, ESC, and RCT. You see on the left side the market fluctuation and then the equipment fluctuation. What you can see is, since cell technologies is getting a little bit more sophisticated, the blue ones, they're getting the biggest ones. In the past, the silicon was more and the wafer was more the big guys of spending. Now the cell guys are getting the bulky guys who needs the most money. Next slide, please. And of course, you have seen these cycles. Always we have these peak cycles in the solar sector, because our solar sector, I don't know why we cannot be orchestrized. I mean, there's a demand which is predictable. Why we always have these overcapacities? Now, I mean, these Chinese friends, they are suffering now in the 4th year of overcapacity. And this I cannot understand. That's something which is totally out of logic and I will never understand, but let us continue. So here you see the PV equipment crystal ball. Of course, after 2035, what we should say? I would say there will be a peak. Still, we will continue to invest, because every 5 years, there's a new cycle of technology. Localization will happen, delocalization will happen, so the capacities will shift. Now, of course, you see the big caravan going from Southeast Asia. Production lines are moving from Southeast Asia via Thailand, now perhaps to India, and perhaps they will end, I don't know, at Europe or in the Atlantic Ocean. I don't know where this equipment, installed equipment from Southeast Asia will end. But I can predict always we have new capacities which have to come because technology is evolving. But of course, you see after 2035, according our assessment, we will see a reduction of the spendings per year, but still a hell of money will be spent. Next slide, please. Good. Now we are coming to the different investments, specific investment per technology over the full value chain. So if you look here, of course, we have different wafer thickness at PERC, at TOPCon, at heterojunction. Please keep that in mind. A gigawatt is a gigawatt, but we need less wafers, less product, more products to produce a gigawatt. So here you can see the PV equipment spending in capex per cell. Now we're talking about cell technology in $1 million in gigawatt on the right upper slide. And you can see the most investment we still need for heterojunction cells to develop the full value chain, $151 million per gigawatt over the full value chain. And as compared to now, the cheapest is TOPCon, which might be for some of you a surprise because you would have expected PERC, but PERC needs a little bit thicker wafers, the efficiency is less, so then we need more installed equipment. And totally, PERC might be a little bit same or a little bit higher as compared to TOPCon over the full value chain. Of course, if you look specifically at cell equipment, which is the blue, of course, TOPCon needs more investment and heterojunction much more, but they need on the other side less wafers and less silicon to make the same gigawatts. Now, this is the lower slide. You can see a very accurate study financed by VDMA, by the German Machine Maker Association, where I'm quite active. You see what type of equipment is used and spent, for which type of equipment we are spending this hell of money. And you can see a lot is going into coating. So coating, surface-driven coatings, they are the most bulky investments, especially if you look at the most advanced technologies like heterojunction or tandem. And then the other side, we have still ingot and wafer production equipment, crystal growth equipment. That's still also a bulky investment. So if you're a machine maker and you want to position yourself, if you want to be in the most best growing sectors in our industry, you should work on deposition or on crystal growth, if you ask me personally. Next slide, please. Now, how we can make the planet great again. And next slide, please. Next slide, please. Beautiful photo, by the way. So first of all, to make all this working, we need money. I explained you for 45 billion US dollar in the year 2030, and it was about 30 billion US dollar in the year 2030. So 35 was 42 billion. So we need, of course, bankable technologies and equipment. So we have to raise capital. So that needs stable condition. Regulations have to be there. Deployments have to be required. Political support has to be given, but also the factories, of course, and the equipment has to be stable with a defined throughput at a good cost number. Next slide, please. Second, batteries are our friends. And you know from my CV, perhaps, who knows me a little bit better, I love batteries. I love energy storage. Just yesterday, there was an announcement that I will be the new CEO of Wärtsilä, which already deployed 20 gigawatt of battery capacities. So I'm excited to be even more active in the battery sector in the future as a person. So battery manufacturing is important. Currently, we have a lot of cell capacity we have in China for energy storage. But now the car guys, interestingly, I mean, you have heard about Ford Energy announcement that they're converting now car battery cell factories into energy storage battery cell factories. Now we got the car guys. I don't know when the semiconductor guys will convert, NVIDIA will convert their semiconductor factories in solar factories. That might take a little bit longer, but at least the car guys are now moving in our direction. So also the Western world will have soon capacities in battery cell by converting EV battery cell factories. So that means the localization already is happening. To invest, for example, if you want to set up a fully integrated, fully automated battery cell factory, take us 5 gigawatt hours, which is a big factory. You have to invest about, for pack and container, you have to invest about 40 million euro. And if you want to have the cell attached, if it's not a green field, which is a pain, then you have to add another 400 million euro if you want to have a battery cell factory. But we are the guys who are taking over the car factories and convert them to energy storage. Then we don't have to invest too much. Next slide, please. Hydrogen. Last week we have signed our first big hydrogen installation in the port of Portugal, in the Portuguese port. So this hydrogen is coming, and it's a mature technology. It's working. If people are asking me what is currently the hydrogen cost, because I heard hydrogen is a champagne of the renewable energies. I thought hydrogen is champagne. I couldn't understand it. So hydrogen is available. If you ask me, at good cost location in Germany, a kilogram of hydrogen costs below €5. If you know how much a gray hydrogen costs, it's about €4. So is it worthwhile to look at hydrogen? Green hydrogen, I would say yes. And then you make ammonia, you make methanol, you make SAF, whatever you want. And that is coming next. Next, please. The grid, of course, the grid guys, I mean, we are the good guys for the grid. We have the batteries, we have solar, we are decentralized. I don't care about the grid. Whenever there's a grid weakness, we put some batteries and the grid is stable again. So we are the enabler of the grid. And if you are moving more and more into decentralized storage-supported grid infrastructures, then these big discussion. We need this north-south in Germany, this grid line. We can just forget. Let us work on decentralized and smart deployment of batteries quickly, and then the pain of the grid is not coming, and we don't see these ugly cables everywhere. And last, I speed up because we should have some discussion. So now, what I say. So Rado inspired me for this speech. And I am the friend of Rado, and I am the friend of the transformation, and I am the 100% support of renewable. This is a must, because it's the cheapest energy, it's reliable, it's decentralized, it has so many advantages. So please, friends, audience, participants, let us move in this direction. And now my question, I don't know if I have a slide or not, I don't care. Who is pushing this transformation? Who is pushing it? Politicians? Regulators, industry associations, people, economy? Who? That's the question. I have my answer, but that's a question to the audience, but there might be other questions. Thank you, my friends.
Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you, Rado. I see that, Rado, you wanted to comment on something. Please feel free before I jump to the question.
Yes. Peter, very inspiring talk. So thank you very much for making me think again more positive, because we don't need grids. We know battery is there. And so I'm not afraid that we will electrify our world. I'm a little bit afraid that Europe will miss to participate in this business. You know, we are running in India and US, helping our friends to set up PV production. In Europe, it's the only continent, more or less, that does not have local production laws in place. So I'm always asking, why is it the case? And when will it come? Because we somehow need a catalyst to set up PV production in Europe again. And, you know, we have been working together with Carbon, with Rafaela on this story in France. But at the end, what is really missing is the political will. So what do you think? Can we do it without it? Or does Europe really have to stick to what they said 5 years ago? We will do everything it takes to bring PV production back to Europe. And everything it takes certainly means local production rules. Otherwise, there will be no production in Europe. So what is the view on that?
So first of all, I think there's a fundamental logic. If you're facing a transformation, there's a fundamental logic. And the fundamental logic is saying, first of all, this transformation will happen. Number one, this is our observation. Second, is it economically feasible? Yes, it's the cheapest energy form, and this is the only way. Is it decentralized? Is it solving global problems? Yes, CO2 carbon emissions are gone if you do this transformation. Is it the energy of the people? Yes, it's the energy of the people, because people can produce the energy and being independent. Is it resilient? Yes, it's resilient. So there is no other people can tell us, please switch off your network grid, whatever. We don't care. We have our own energy. So there are a lot of positivities associated to this transformation, Rado. That's a fundamental. It's economically, it's all this one. So if you ask me personally, this transformation will happen. If it's not taken by leadership, it will be taken by the people. Because, I mean, everybody can have his own decision, and the movement will come. A transformation movement will come. I'm predicting it. And people will push politicians, or they will do themselves, because this energy is the energy of the people, and the transformation is a transformation for the people. So I don't care about politicians. If they don't listen, I mean, let us see what will happen. I'm not afraid. And
yes.
Another matter of fact, you asked me about Europe. I will make it short. If it's not possible in any global industry. That's another fact, that one country can produce or two countries can produce all these transformation goods all together. That's not possible, Rado. We will have European factories. We will have European factories, African factories, South American factories, US factories. That's for sure. 100%. 100%. And
Okay.
you know, I believe in the logic of people, because people say, okay, I can buy a European product or an Asian product. Everybody can make his decision. And one team has to be brave enough to set up a European factory. And this factory will be a super big success. In this global condition, it will be a super success. Believe me, trust me, 100%.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. So I will jump to a question that was raised by Maurizio. Well, it's a bit of information and many questions I think you already covered, but I will read through it. You mentioned it at the beginning. Don't you think that if the industrial development of PV production maintains its current state, with the largest production being in China, then we don't risk depending on China? As Europe, do we move from dependencies on oil to dependencies on Chinese modules? How to truly resolve geopolitical dependencies? To both of you. Yes, Rado, please.
Okay, maybe a short answer. Yes. So at the moment we are dependent. Now at Intersolar, there will be many Indian companies now coming to Intersolar, selling modules to Europe as well. So there will be at least two sources in the future, and there are upcoming production facilities. Even in Africa, there's a TOPCon production upcoming. US will not sell their products to Europe, that's clear, because they are producing at quite high costs. But there will be, as Peter already mentioned, more and more countries coming. Also Turkey has a big production hub, is becoming a big production hub. So there will be not a problem in future. There will be countries supplying definitely modules to Europe. Hopefully at the end also Europe will produce their own modules. And I'm also positive about that.
Okay, and there is another question just coming up from Arun. What is the biggest misconception about 100% renewable energy system that you still hear from the industry or policymakers? Peter, you're mute if you want to add a comment.
I feel, and I'm active at the German Machine Maker Association, and these middle-sized entrepreneurs are super conservative. But what they understand, Aaron, they have not understood that these renewable energy sources are the cheapest energy source. It's so meaningful, and now gradually they are understanding, because they're putting panels on the roof of their factories. I feel the misconnect is that people are influenced, of course, by lobby groups. That is without any doubt. And Rado mentioned billions of US dollars in his presentation, which are pumped into lobby. And that makes a misconnection by itself. But if I talk to politicians, they are a little bit ignoring that this renewable energy and this transformation is for our country a big chance to go back to cost competitiveness. They're arguing in the opposite way and making us stupidly dependent again from these fossil energy sources. And that is a major misconnection that we have to hammer in the public. If we don't go in this transfer, China is doing it. I mean, always we are looking at China. We should just copy China in this regard. That would be my best suggestion, because they are doing deployments like hell. So I would say that is a major misconnect. Influence politicians.
Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you very much, Rado. Thank you, everybody who logged in, who dialed in. We really enjoyed the very lively discussions. So get in touch with us. and stay tuned for our upcoming webinars and hope to see you all at the EU PVSEC. Thank you very much, and I will say goodbye to everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Follow
much,
us with
thank you,
transformation.
Transformation.
Bye-bye.
Right?
We have
By
a
the
plan.
people.
Of course.
Thank you very
Of
much.
course. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.